for you to call upon your name this morning. That you have brought us together to speak to us in any way, now or sooner, because we need you in any way. We need you every day. Because in the beginning, God, in our lives we want to learn this. In Jesus' name we pray and believe.
Amen.
We just read from a memory text that I'm the vine and you are the branches. You know, a vine is a tree. There is no way you cut the branch, the tree dies. And this is something you can see from our object lessons every day. Just go there and cut the tree. It dies. Now, I was trying to look up into a dictionary definitions of what we call backup. It says a help or support, as our members have said here, or an assistance or an aid. Backup refers to the copying or physical files of a database to a secondary site to preserve it just in case of any equipment failure. Now, when I went back in the camp meetings in Kenya now, I have a minister's Bible. Now, I've learned a lesson, and I'll never, by any means, stand here. I once said, so long as I live with the gadget, that's what I want to use, without a backup. I don't blame those who come up with them, but don't be without a backup, because I've seen the failure. One of our guests back there was standing up with a gadget, the best gadget so far, what we call Apples. You know, the best computers, what we call the Apple, isn't it? That's the best so far, to my knowledge. So he stands up with the computer and he puts it in the PowerPoint down there to project what he's going to say. And lo and behold, the thing dies. And he didn't have it. And if the guests speak and people are listening, what put you to such a... If you have reached the age of mind where you can't grasp many things in your head, you have to refer. But he didn't have a back. That's what we call a total failure. And this morning in my prayer that we don't have to experience such total failure. It's something very important I'm going to mention. If you don't have a backup. I've seen, even when I went, I see many things. That a car starts to burn in the middle of the road. You know, it's a mandatory to have fire extinguishers as a backup, isn't it? And you have to use, if you don't have a backup fire extinguisher back where it comes from, then that is an offense because of a lot of corruption. Anything, do you have a fire extinguisher? Do you have a safety sign? They ask you, and then you say, no, I don't. Then they say, okay, so you have a case to answer. But talk if you don't watch it, bringing something little and leave you go. There's some places like that. But then, just don't ignore it. You reach a point that your car bursts into flames. Your car. And then you start by all means to try to put out the fire, and your children are at the back seat, and you think it might help. Many have seen such tragic accidents burn out until the fire burns and you don't have any backup. In areas where there are no fire trucks, you try by every means, you try to find water anywhere, try to find sand everywhere, and you fail to get your help simply because you ignored one thing to find out the backup. Let me see, a house starts to burn, and because we don't have any backup, you know that, because there's no backup. Here in America, we have backups. But then a fire starts to burn, and you try by all means, your house is burning. There are valuables in your house, and they burn completely, sometimes even losing lives, because you didn't have a backup. And then, that will be the end of it. You know, where the backups like here, that you are told you have to have an insurance. If in case you have house burns, then the insurance will pay you back. But in many places, it's not there. And even here in the United States, there are places where you don't have houses, where you don't have places where there are fire trucks. When the house starts to burn, it burns until it dies. So I want to pray with you, and I want to welcome our guests, that you need to think of a backup in any way when you're still breathing. You need a backup. You need a backup. I've seen that one. Some of us, sometimes we rely on our parents or any source of a backup. As our father is our backup. But how about his human? How about if his life is cut short? What do you do when you don't have a backup? You start starving. And many of us have fallen in such category where we depend much more in our parents as the only source of living. And we don't get anything from anywhere because our father is there. And we are so proud that he's there. Maybe let me call it our parents. And then in any time something happens and you lose them, what happens? Children become beggars because there was no backup plan. Many times we have been told that you have to look for a backup in any way. That in case of anything, in case of an emergency, you can be able to run to. Now, Sister Anna is here. I don't know, these tragedies have happened in Tanzania several times. There was this ship called MV and it sank. The only person that got help was somebody who had a life jacket, isn't it? And now another one, MV just sank, isn't it? Yes. Many lives are lost because of negligence. Now, how can you travel in those deep waters without a life jacket? Now, how can you travel in these deep waters of the earth without casting your life? So you hear what I mean? Because anytime your ship will sink, anytime our ship will sink, anytime, without a backup. And that's why the Bible says very clear, I am the vine, you are the branches. You cannot do any without me. Now we bring up our children, we bring up our family without that very strong backup, without God in their lives. You bring up children in this type of world, which we know that the world is ending. This is what we always trumpet that one. We trumpet it so loudly, but we don't even have a backup. We can take, you can have chariots ready for war, but it's only God that gives victory. Now, I go back into the book of Exodus chapter 33, and in 32, God called Moses up in the hill to give him the commandments. And within short time, the people started complaining, 40 days, that they went to Joshua, they went to Aaron. Where is this Moses? And where is this God? It's been long, we don't come up and make us a God. Sometimes you wonder, and sometimes you blame them, but we go the same route. Now, within a very short period, God has just led them from Israel, from the house of bondage. And God has done everything, even making them cross the Red Sea without boats on dry land with the children. They didn't know how to swim, they didn't know anything, but God led them through. But reaching the other side, they are starting to say, we don't see any God, make us a God. And so they start making God and start worshiping Him. And so God saw it and then told Moses, and you see, when you read the Bible, sometimes it makes me wonder. And God says, I've seen your people now. God called them your people. He calls Moses, he calls Israel Moses' people. They are so stiff-necked. Go down there because I'm going to finish them and put you instead. But I love Moses in this way. And if I can read so that I can be able to be a little bit brief on what I'm saying. In Exodus chapter 32, chapter 32 is what I've just paraphrased, but in Exodus chapter verse 9, And the Lord said to Moses, I have seen these people, and indeed it is a stiff-necked people. We all know we are created. We all know we cannot live without God. We don't know that. But then why are we becoming so stiff-necked and trying to do things that sometimes baffle God? Now, therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them, and I will make of you a great nation. That's God talking now. Now listen to Moses. Then Moses pleaded with the Lord his God and said, but why does your wrath burn not against your people? You have brought out the people you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand. Now that's Moses. Now God told him that you are people, but I'm saying this is your people. Why didn't you say this are my people? And I think I like that prayer, where you can argue with God and tell him, listen, these are not my people. These are your people. Why do you want to tell me that now they are my people? Because God told him. Now sometimes we are so stiff-necked that God is saying we are not his people. That we become Moses' people. But Moses is human. Anytime we depend on human, cast is he who depends on human wisdom or human strength. I don't know. But this is what we be told here. Then Moses argued with God in that manner. And then afterwards, in chapter 33, let me start from verse 12. Then Moses said to the Lord, see, you say to me, bring up these people. And I want you to listen very well. Now God has brought to you people into your hands, into your custody. And he said, then Moses said to the Lord, see, you said to me, bring up these people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name, and you have also found grace in my sight. Now therefore I pray, if I have found grace in your sight, show me now your way, that I may know you, and that I may find grace in your sight. And consider that this nation is your people. Now he texts them that way again. God told him it's not his. Consider this are your people. And this is what I know, and this is what you know, that we don't belong to anybody else. We don't belong to anything else. We need a backup. Many times, my bank, if sometimes I get a little bit less of the money that is required, I wrote on the check. They say, and then you go there, they tell you, do you need some money, a backup, if just in case your check doesn't fit, then you can be able to be given. You see, we say, yes, I need that. Now, because this is what we see in our daily lives, you will always need the backup. And that's why some of us have insurances, or personal insurance, or everything insurances, just back us up in case of anything. We do this in our daily life, and we forget one thing. And that's why Moses was trying to remind God that these people doesn't belong to me, because there's nothing I can do with them. Without God, we can do nothing. That's what the Bible told us. Now, listen to this prayer. Then God heard his prayer and he said, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. Now that makes me feel better. And I think it made Moses feel better. Because we are in a restless world, daily occurrences. You will never rest if you don't have a backup. Because you will always, what will happen next? You don't know. Next, what will happen? Then he said to, then on verse 16. Verse 15, very important. Then he said to him, if your presence does not go with us, do not bring us up from here. You know, those are men of God. Men who listen to the voice of God. He said, if you are not going with me, then just leave me where I am. Because he knows the journey ahead is not an easy one. How I pray that you can just think of journey ahead, how it will be in this world where we cannot know what next. You need I need a backup. Without God's presence in your family, God's presence in your business, God's presence in your work, in your lifetime, then you don't need him to move. Because the devil's a roaring lion, and he's so strong than we do. I remember one day sitting in my backyard, the two crows came over into the tree. And they patched up on a dead branch. And within no minute, the dead branch of their weight fell off. But because they had a backup, they had the wings, they flew away. And again, they came back again. And I noticed this again. There were some live branches. Instead of patching on those live branches, they were patching on the dead branches. The same mistake we do every day. And again, it gave way. But because they have their backup wings, they fly away. I wonder what wings you have. What wings you have. You know, David said this in Psalms chapter 20, verse 7. I'll paraphrase. Some depend on horses, some on chariots, but we will remember the name of our God. Now, David, he was a powerful king. He had all the armies around him and chariots, everything. And you know, Israel had the best army so far than then. And in the Bible would say there were 600 left-handed men who would throw a sling and hit an air without hitting another one. Pinpoint accuracy. But then he had walls around Jerusalem, walls around his kingdom. He had all the safety that he needed. And still he says, some depends on chariots, some depends on horses. But we will remember the name as their backup, as our backup. What do you have to worry? The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. No, that is him. Now I plead with you today. I told you I was just a backup for my friend, the father who didn't kill. And then from that, being away from, brought in a very hurried thing that, why don't we talk about backup? So somebody will walk here and know that you have a backup. The Lord is my strength. The Lord is my power, and I shall not want anything. You know, when God is your strength, what do you fear? Even if you are dead, you know you have a backup. Even if you hit rock bottom, you meet God is the rock of your life. So what do you fear? Now, in my rough notes, I wrote some few things here. Now, I remember this boy, we always call him the prodigal son. Because he went to his father and said, Daddy, I think I'm good to go now. I want you to give me all that belongs to me, and I want to go. So his father pleaded with him. I can see you cannot make it by yourself. Why do you want to go? But because he insisted, because we insist every day. So his father listened to his voice and gave him all those that belongs to him. And so he took everything that belongs to him and started to walk away because he trusted on his strength. And he went over there and he started going to the world and he met everybody and he was happy like everybody wants to be happy. He did jobs and he did everything. But eventually those things started fading until he said, no way. I have still more strength. I want to look for a job. So he went to look for a job, and the job he got was to take care of the swine. And remember, he was a Jew, just taking land. So he would take care of the swine and take care of the swine, and the little money he was getting couldn't be enough. So he even had nothing to eat. He started eating the swine's food. Somebody who had his father and had everything. And then the Bible tells me, like it tells me today, that he came to his senses, and that's my prayer today, that we should come to our senses that we need a backup. You know, some of us have jobs, good jobs. Some of us have money in the bank, and we think those are enough backup. Some of us have the strength. You know, we have horsepower. And sometimes we want to go everywhere because we think we have those horsepower in us. And then he said, he came to his senses, and I pray that you come to your senses today. And he came to his senses and said, no, I know I have somewhere to go. So he thought to himself, my father is still alive. I need to go back. So he thought to his senses and he said, I'm going. And so as he started going back, his father saw him from far away, and that's the beauty of it all. Now he started to say some excuses. God said, don't talk. Don't say anything. You know, that's the beauty of it all. I'll be your backup. Don't say anything. The story ends there. But there's another man in that building that also thought he had all the backups and started to run away from the backup. I want to plead with you today, my friends. Do you have a backup? Or do you have a fake one? It depends on your choice. It depends on your choice today. How that will work. You know, I told you about this little girl, the story is true. That when she was walking, they were walking away from school. And then they saw a little frog, and they started to chase that little frog. And in there they went into a swamp. And that little girl went into a swamp. And she started sinking and sinking and sinking. And so the little girl couldn't help. She tried to pull her friend, but she couldn't pull her friend away from the swamp. And she sank and she sank and sank until she could not come out. She tried to look for help, and she couldn't. So what she did, she just also went and sank with her little friend. And so the two of them were just waiting for any help from anybody. Until when the help came and somebody helped them out, and she went home. And her mother asked her, what happened to you? And he said, oh, it is my friend. She got stuck into the swamp, and I couldn't help her. So I decided to stay with her. Look at that. It's only God who would always try to stay with you in any circumstances. Even when you are stuck in the swamp, He is the only one. He is the only one. We as friends will always run away. Your father can die, your husband can die, your wife can die. If you depend on your child, he can die. If you depend on jobs, no, I know, we here we can work. But anytime the job can, and then you, or some of us will live paycheck to paycheck. You know the story. In 1986, up in New Jersey, a little boy fell into this gorilla zoo, and some of you heard that story. He fell into that gorilla zoo in there, little boy. Being curious, he fell into the gorilla zoo, and the gorillas, you know how strong they are. They started clapping that boy, clapping that boy, clapping that boy until the silverback came, walking and walking and walking, walking and chasing the others around, and then he stepped next to the little boy. It can take any shape. The backup can take any shape, and sometimes you might not know. And so he chased all the gorillas away, and he started clapping the boy until the boy came to his senses. Until then he chased all the gorillas into their caves and remained until the paramedics came to help the boy. You know, you need a backup. You really need a backup. I've written a book here. The book is called Birds Sing After a Storm. Because I know you might not have a storm right now, but storm is coming in time. If it's not here today, it will be there tomorrow. And I wrote in the book, what will happen when the pressure is on and the stress builds up? There are times of storms and conflict with the winds are so adverse and insistent. The clouds are so dark and the waters are rising so quickly that careful plans of calmer times are forgotten. Now when it's so serious, you know, I found out, you know, before I became a minister, I was working in the engineering business. And there's something we call grinder, and you can see in my hand. And you have to press on the button to make it run. So I pressed on the button and made it run and run and run and run, and then slipped and started cutting me, and I didn't know. I didn't remember. No, when something is happening, you can forget even our way of your exit way. Even now there are exit doors, but when the chaos erupts, some of us will not even have eyes to see there and will try to go under the car, the chair. That's why I say you need a backup. Because your mind will be confused anything. Sometimes when the winds blow so much, you cannot even forget, you can forget even to put up the life jacket. So you need a backup which is always there for you. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So I could not even remember to switch off. I am the one pressing on the button to make it run, but I couldn't remember to pull my hands off to stop it. And it was cutting me and I was feeling pain, but I can't stop it. Hey brothers, we need a backup. That's my story. But anybody here, you need a backup, and it's not money. It's not your education. It's not your strength. It's not your power. It's not your family. It's God. That's the backup. And I rest my case. Our last song, as we sing, remember that you need the backup to be secure. And that backup is God. The last song is song number 537. He giveth me. He's our only backup. So sing that song. Anybody here who needs a backup? And the backup is God. That's your backup. Let me see by show of hands. Please, let it be that way. Let it be so that we need somebody to back us up. And that person is God. Who sees everything in our lives. He backs up. You know, the best part of him, he says, come and let us reason together. You know, that's the best backup. And even if it's so red, it will be as white. So just come. We need that backup. So just come and let's reason. I love that kind of backup. So today we give him a name. It's our backup. As we sing song number 537, He Leadeth Me. Yes, I'll stand as we sing the song. If you don't have songbooks, they are struggling to reach number, but you can pick up the songbooks. Number 537, 537. Songbooks are our backups. In case those things fail, I told you. 537. He leadeth me, oh blessed, oh worthy name. Whatever I do, whatever I need, it's you that leadeth me. He leadeth me, he leadeth Father, we are humbled by your promises, that you can be able to give us a blessed day and to speak to us from your heart. We want to thank you in a very special way for such things that you have done in our lives, and that you have always been able to present yourself in any situation that we are in. Thank you for giving us another time and safety for us, and also to be our backup in everything. We know that you have prepared a place for us, so we can't be troubled. Thank you for giving us this faith to believe in you. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen. Please be seated. Just as we were in the process, pastors have come. And I know they have something to say. Can you just come, and pastors have come, and I want to welcome them in a special way. These are great visitors, and they welcome them.
Good afternoon, brethren.
Good afternoon.
It's good to be in the house of the Lord another Sabbath day.
Amen.
And God is good
All the time.
all the time.
God is good.
So, as brothers and sisters in Christ, it's good to be here to share this worship experience and to just bring greetings from Trinity Temple down in Poughkeepsie as we work together to finish God's work. Jesus is coming soon.
Amen.
And we must be faithful. We must hold on. Because without Him, we can do nothing.
That's right.
But thank God, with Him, we can do everything.
Amen.
So may God bless you as you fellowship and attempt to make a difference here in Hyde Park. Hyde Park needs Seventh-day Adventist religion right here.
Amen. Amen.
And we have a message that is second to none. We do not take a back seat to anyone. What God has blessed us with as a church, no one else has. And the whole world needs to know about the third angel's message,
Amen.
our health message that revolutionizes lives. So let us hold together so that we could finish the work. Because the Bible says it's when the gospel is preached in all the world that Jesus will come.
Amen.
So may God bless you. Thank Pastor Mumbo for giving me a few minutes. And may God bless us until He comes.
Thank you so much, Pastor Jordan. How many welcome Pastor Jordan here? Pastor Jordan is always our friend. You know, he's praying for us and he's come with our elder. And they just across here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor.